What is going on, everyone, and welcome to another updated node video. So every time I get like, I don't know, 5-10 CP and or I make some notable changes, I like to show you guys what's changed and what I usually have my node set up, just because a lot of people actually ask me this. Like, it's actually a more common question than you may imagine. So how do I do these kind of videos? So we go over basically every region, and I like to tell you what I think are some priority nodes to get, and what overall is pretty good at the time. But my recommendation for all of you, if you are looking to pick nodes for yourself, I think that you should just get the things that you would use if you're life skilling. So like, for example, if you like cooking, for example, just get materials that you think that would help you instead of having to buy it off the market. So it just saves you time and silver. But overall, I do have some thoughts on various nodes that I think are, you know, more profitable than the others. And so, yeah, let's start it up. And now we have like almost 422 of them. And it's actually April 21st today. So I thought this would be a cool thing to do. But anyway, yeah, let's start off with the beginner region. So we'll start off with Balanos. I think the best way to show you guys without making too much confusion, like this is the default view, and then just for nodes, I think we'll look at it like this. Okay, so as a beginner, you start off at Western Guard Camp or Mountain of Eternal Winter. We'll get to that one later. But as a new player, I believe you just start out at Western Guard Camp. And here are the nodes that I have connected. So I have this one over here as Graves, just because it's just like I use it every now and then. But I think I want to talk about more of the notable ones that beginners to people who don't have like 400 contribution points would get. So I think the important ones in Balanos, and by Balanos I mean like Velia, Olvia, and around here, this upper half under or above Heidel, are things around here. So like eggs and chicken meat. So the reason why I would say chicken meat and eggs is because those are kind of bottleneck materials, and so you kind of use these a lot, and plus they're like a high value one, so if you just sell it off the market you get a lot more out of it. And then chicken meat, just because you use it for your workers, is kind of like a usable supply that everyone will use. So I at one point had over 1 million of them, and then we just at some point I had to figure out what to do with them. And so I use them. Sometimes I use them for random crates, well, back before I did Guru. And sometimes I just sell them because, yeah, grilled bird meat is obtained from chicken meat. And so you use it to feed your workers and stuff. So also very important. I think timbers, which are logs, are very important, and various like cooking materials. So these two nodes over here, Finto Farm and Bartali one, for chicken meat and eggs, I think those are pretty high priority. And then when it comes to timbers around this area, here's what I would take a look at. So if you look at timbers, basically when you pick out the nodes you want, kind of find the ones that are permanent, well, not like permanently sold out, but just like there's a 0 instead of a big number. That means those are a little bit more rare and are used for more items. So I think if you can't get it easily and just buy like tens of thousands of them at one point, those are worth picking up a node for. So I'll tell you how to get some of these a little bit later. So yeah, in the Balanos region, these two nodes over here for chicken meat and eggs are pretty good. And then when it comes to timbers, you just kind of find the ones you want. I personally have some special ones. Like if you see a node and it's like a shovel icon, I'm just explaining this for people who are new. You basically go up to the node manager or an NPC around this node area, and then it'll charge you like 50 energy or something, and then it'll unlock an excavation. And basically excavation nodes give you traces, and traces are let me show you real quick. Where is Glish? So I store a lot of my traces here. And it's these things. These are very valuable for alchemy. Whether you do it now or you don't do it, you probably need it at some point in your BDO career, most likely. To use for making like elixirs and high-end potions and various stuff. So it's good. It's a good idea to start collecting them, and then by the time you think you need them, if you don't already, you'll be able to use them, because traces are pretty much sold out for the relevant ones. So like these, for example, just make some high-end elixirs. You make some, I know some of them are used for the frenzies and stuff, so other materials to craft up to that. But yeah, either way, kind of a end game thing, and you have to know what you're doing. But traces are important, and they are high value. So aside from that, let's go into the Heidel region, which is basically all of this over here, right? So if you guys know it by this, Heidel around here, and then that's it. Okay, so I think Heidel is a very good beginner region to put a lot of contribution points into, because there's just a lot of timbers, as there's a lot of trees. And there's a lot of basic materials that you'll use early on. So for example, right here, there's like wheat, flax, and pumpkin. I use a lot of wheat and stuff, because before grilled bird meat or the chicken meat, you would use this to make beer, which is over here, and that's also used for workers and stuff. But it's also a good thing to sell. If you just sell it to the market, that's a pretty good chunk of silver. I think some highlights are around here, which is cooking honey, and this one over here is another excavation for a trace of savagery and hunting. You might need those in the future, so it doesn't hurt to put them in. But yeah, aside from that, like Lish runes, I have another trace node, and then everything else is just kind of things that I think I need. So just as a whole general, like things I think are worth something, various timbers, which are logs, iron ore, or just some ores in general are worth more than others, and materials that you will use yourself. Those are things I think are important. So down here, if we go down to this thing past Glish, this is one of those things where I just have a lot of, or this is a very expensive connection, because this one is like 5 plus 3. It's just like almost 10 points. But saps in this game are very important, because if you look at this, at least on NA, let me see, various saps are basically sold out. This is for high-end alchemy, or not really even high-end, just alchemy in general. But a lot of saps are pretty much sold out. And if you need it, it's one of those things you're going to have to self-collect. So there's just so many orders. So I think that's important. But other than that, some special nodes that I have connected for just grinding in general is Orc Camp. So as we all know, Elvia Orcs is very high-end money. And so I actually have this node at level 20. So do I think it helps? I don't know. I just have it at level 20. And so that's that. So now we're going into the Calpheon area. And this is one I kind of change up kind of often, because there are some things that I think are worth, and then sometimes I just need one contribution point to like connect another thing. But yeah, over here, like wheat and barley, as I talked about before, these are very expensive. And so we have these connected, and these are pretty decent in terms of selling value. And then, as I talked about, timbers and ores over here. So like timbers, ores, and then over here is more timbers and a lot of other stuff. But things that I have before under here in the Kepler area is a coal node, because as we all know, steel is a very important thing to get. And so if you need like pine, you could have that connected, but then you also want to have various amounts of coal, lead, and iron, because they're used for high-end like blacksmith crafting. So, well, not really high-end, but just like things you're gonna need at some point in the game. So that's cool. And I guess we'll talk about this because it's part of Calpheon, more or less. And so I have a lot of fish nodes going on over here, because the story is, back in the day, I don't know, many years ago. We don't really have this problem anymore. But you would need to craft your own feed for your pets. So like basically, where is it? These things, like good feed or whatever. And nowadays, like you can buy it, but some of these organic feed, I don't know if it's really worth it, to be honest. Like you're better off just making it for a lot cheaper, and like you can get it, but it's not a big deal. So anyway, a lot of these nodes give like various fish and stuff you'll use to self-craft or self-cook like feed for your pets. And so that's why I have this. This is basically accumulation of stuff that I've been collecting over literal years. And does it look like it's a lot? No, not really, because I actually do use it. Over 100,000 dried mullet. And these nodes are actually kind of long, because you see how this is not even 50% done and has like another hour and a half. So each node is like 2 to 3 hours, and like that's the there and back to drop off. So it's not really value, but it's just cheap nodes to get fish, and then I just never bothered to take off the node over the years. So if you are planning on making your own feed because you don't like buying it, this is a very good option. And so down here, past the under Calpheon in the Trent and like Bear area, so these are a lot of timbers, as you may imagine. Timbers and saps, as we talked about, two very important things. We got a lot of cedar timber, over 500,000. I think this is probably a few years worth of it. And trust me when I say saps are used a lot, so generally collecting them, even if you don't think you need it now, is a good idea. And so after that, in terms of bear, we're actually doing an experiment. So I've been grinding a lot of Hex Sanctuary for a while because I need to collect all the, what is it? These crystallized despairs, because whenever the new region drops on NA and EU, I'm going to try to make the new gloves, and then you require like 300 of them. And so I'd rather not pay 18 billion for it. It's not like I can't, but if I have time to grind for it instead, I'd rather do that. And plus Hex is very solid money. I have a recent video. I made like 1.5 billion silver, and that's just like an average hour for me at Hex. So we're trying this. We're leveling up the node just to see if it's worth it. It's level 18 now, so that's cool. After Calpheon, generally is Valencia, but we'll talk about that later. So in the Kama region, I have a lot of these things just for like old purposes. So like Ash Forest, eventually my goal is to get a Pen Deboreka necklace, and I've actually have some videos of me grinding at Ash Forest. It's not fun, trust me. Like, you don't make a lot of XP. There's not a lot of silver. You're there for Deborekas or the Orzeka helmet, like, leaves. This place is awful. But other than that, Loopy Tree Forest, we need the sap from there. So that's why I have that node. And then Tooth Fairy Forest, I have this connected. So you see these nodes, it's like level 14 and 3/4, right? Because back in the day, before they raised the like node level to 20, it was 10, and 10 was the maximum. So when they raised it, that just got pushed retroactively. So if you see a lot of them that are like 14.5, that's because they were maxed out nodes back in the day, and now they're what they are now. So Tooth Fairy Forest and Tooth Fairy Cabin is Ronaros, and then you can get a lot of infinite potion pieces there. So we have that, plus it's a trace of forest, and I do use that. It's used for various elixirs, and you know those cups that you get from Elvia Serendia, like you would need to collect those in general. So I think those are important nodes. These two are just connected because you need them to connect. I don't know if it works. Like, can you just connect? I don't think you can just connect Tooth Fairy to all of these, but either way, they're connected to Grana, and well, I don't actually think so, because Tooth Fairy is not a storage, and they need to dump off something to a storage, so that makes sense. Don't have anything on this side. the few things I have in Odraxia are, I have the Narcion one because it gives chicken meat and eggs, as we talked about before. It was maxed out level. This is also like the best area for hunting in this game. So for anyone who does that life skill for hunting, it's pretty decent silver in general. Plus, the node is pretty good. I don't think hunting, like the node affects like the loot you get from there, but I just leveled it for the sake of leveling. And then over here, grapes and potatoes for all of you who do cooking. I think those are important nodes. And here's one that actually, I believe, got buffed recently. And so we have mithril, and this is a very important thing to get if you are looking to do some metal work later on. So back in the day, the rate for mithril is very low, and even now it's still pretty low, but I still have it just because, like, if I don't need it now, there's so many orders. Let me just show you. Mithril is basically sold out, and I believe, yeah, there's like 400,000 orders. That's because the price is too low and it's a very high valued item. So if you get these, there's basically a lot of orders. If you need mithril, you're gonna have to collect it yourself, because zero shot you're getting it off the market. So that's why I have this node on. I did need it at some point, but it's very hard to get. Next we have, I don't think I have anything connected in Dreeken anymore. Back in the day, I used to have like Garmoth and a lot of other connections, but not anymore. What we have now is Mountain of Eternal Winter. The cooking honey is good. I think Trace of Death, if you had extra contribution points, is not a bad option. Over here, get birch timber. It's not really the highest priority, but the one you do want to connect is Jade Starlight Forest, because if you are at the point where you need to grind for your Labresca helmet, this is the spot to be. And it does give saps and timbers along with rough jade. And now rough jade is actually, it sells pretty well. You don't get a lot of them, but you do get them. So people do use it, and a lot of cooking honey, and then like saps and everything. So a lot of notable items that I talked about that I thought were expensive and worthwhile earlier. Now we'll go into the Tariff area, and then following Altanova and so on. So Tariff has a lot of random goodies, and look at all these pure blackstones that I'll never use. I've never to this day gotten a pure blackstone that was straight up AP. I keep getting like everything that's not that. So anyway, in here we get sweet potatoes, a lot of timbers, saps, and just like yeah, more saps. And so here are the important things. So you would be connecting everything to Tariff, right? Generally going up here into the timbers and saps is very valuable. This is kind of an expensive connection. Everything else is just like various ores and mushrooms. I personally don't think I need mushrooms as much, so I might replace those for the next time. But if you do a lot of alchemy, then you probably will need them. So we have like 250,000 sky mushrooms, a lot of timbers, and just a lot of extra goodies that I don't even know why I still have this. It's like literally irrelevant gear that I don't even know. Is this still in the game? Like, can you still get these as drops? I'm not sure, but these were like decent back in the day. Like I would say maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So anyway, yeah, that's what I have. The storage is just timbers, saps, mushrooms, things I think I'll actually need. So if we do the cutoff like this, if we look at Tariff and then anything on the right side of Tariff, I think these are connected to Altanova maybe. But anyway, cotton wool was used a lot for crafting that I had, and it's a pretty decent one if you want to sell it. Zinc ore is actually worth quite a bit, so I have that one. These zinc ore and iron ores are kind of expensive nodes, so it's not like a high priority, but if you think you need it, it's probably worth getting. So abandoned iron mine. I have both iron and zinc. These are like 3 CP each. Is it worth it? I'm not sure. But anyway, I think those are all connected to Altanova. Here we have like, let's see, about 1.7 million elder tree timbers. One day I'll process them. I always tell myself, like, eventually when I get bored, I'm just going to AFK process these for about like, maybe a few weeks, and then I can get that done. It's probably never happening, to be honest. Every time I see this number go up and it's like 1.7 million of them, I'm just like, ugh, I don't even think you can sell it. Let me actually just look for a second. Elder tree. All right, well, you can sell it, but yeah, you can sell it, but I don't know if I want to. Like, realistically, I think if I ever wanted to push Guru 50 processing, that's probably how you do it. And just people processing that all the way up and spend like an entire month of not even playing the game, just AFK processing, checking back every 15-20 minutes. That's how you do it. Am I going to do it? Probably not. But anyway, maybe one day, boost everyone's inventory limit. So yeah, things I think are important. Saps. I guess you can have elder tree timber if you want it. This is a lot of zinc ore and iron. So as you guys can see, zinc ore is like 4,500 a piece. That's kind of good. It's expensive for the node, but I do actually use a lot of iron ore and then melt it into iron shards every now and then. So yeah, I think these are pretty good. So like platinum ingots, kind of expensive. So just having platinum ore in general, very worth it. So yeah, that's basically what we have going on here. Let's see. Actually, no, I had more, but where is it coming from? I probably had something. I'll have to look it up later, but this is what I have. And now for all the other connections. This is, once we get into the Valencia connections, this is more like you have to know what you want to connect anything in Valencia. Because don't just copy me. If you do it, you're going to be wondering, like, why do I have this? So starting with Shikatu, I literally have this entire thing connected for Pilgrim's Sanctum and Kato Coast, and there's no nodes. So if you guys know, I've been grinding Histria for the past like 7 months and trying to get the Elton piece. And I have a level 20 node, and this one gives Histria, and then this node gives Akhman. And these are actually new that they added. So once I get the Elton piece, this node is gone. And same with the Akhman one. This node will also be gone, and I can literally unconnect this and get like 15 CP back. Do I think it's helping? No, I think I have like 400 hours in Histria, and with a maxed out node, it doesn't feel like it does anything. Just throwing that out there, but it's like an extra 10% drop rate. So if you don't know, let me just show you. So this is where I store everything. I have 9 compass pieces. All of those are Vodkins, by the way. And if we show you this one, and just in case you don't know, so like you see, if you look at the monster zone info, right, it'll tell you like your node level, right, and then it'll tell you the invested item drop rate. So just in case you didn't know, it's probably not even new. So I have like an extra 8% when I grind there, and then when I'm at Histria and have a maxed out node, it's like level 20 node, 10% extra drop rate. Does it feel like a meme? Yeah, 100% it does, but if it helps, it helps. In theory, it works. And then things I have connected, nothing to Valencia directly, but Ari Haza in the back. I guarantee you, aside from the quest line, there is like 0 shot people have any need to ever be in Ari Haza, which is kind of sad actually, because they like definitely designed all of this, and then there's just no reason to be there. And so maybe in the future, when they introduce new regions, and they might actually talk about this. But things that I have are literally these two nodes in the Ganbia volcano. I have titanium and powders of flames, but I mostly wanted the vanadium ore from here. And then I actually had this connected for a while to Roud Sulfur Works, and because this one drops a piece of the archaeologist map, the rare item, and like honestly, this place just like feels like pain grinding here. So maybe one day when they boost this and they have like Elvia Valencia, I think Elvia Medaya is coming next. So maybe in like a few years. So basically what I have here, vanadium ore, titanium, and various crystals. These are just kind of byproducts that I don't really use. But mostly I want these ores, and then you use those for like various monos accessory crafting. And I think that's about it. So if you are planning on doing any ocean stuff in the future and bartering and sailing, some nodes that I previously had connected, where it was this island over here, this one, and this one, these 4 nodes, and they connect to Ilia Island. And the reason why I have them is because they would give you blueprints, and this is for blue carrot gear along with starlight powder, and this is used to upgrade your materials or your blue carrot gear, or to make it, and then this is to enhance it. So basically you would have these nodes going on and to make it, and then you need the sunset stones to upgrade, kind of like black stones that we use for weapons and armors, but this one's for boats. So that's about it. Maybe I might do another update once the new region drops, if there's any notable things to pick up. But overall, that's my 420 plus CP setup. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. But the best way just to look at it is pick nodes that you think you would need to use for yourself. Other than that, I just showed you some nodes that I think are like high value. But other than that, hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions on anything and how to connect certain things, feel free to ask. But most of it I think is pretty straightforward. Also have another 100 CP in various farms over here, so that's another 100 CP in farms. We talked about that in other videos. But overall, hopefully it's interesting. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Love to see you guys come back. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.